So, My Hero Academia manga chapter 334 has been translated, and let's just say that this chapter may be the finishing up of all of the setup that we've needed for the final war. The setup is complete. We get a little bit more information in this chapter, but all that you need to know is that we're getting closer to the end. So get excited, and we'll talk a little bit more about that right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew, and I'm here to do my manga review for My Hero Academia, manga chapter 334, titled Parting Gift. Yes, unfortunately, New Order is going to be the last thing that we see of Casey, aka Star and Stripe, aka Kathleen. You will be missed, you wonderful woman, you. But she may not be staying in the story that long, and we'll give a little bit of explanation for that. But overall, I thought that this was a really good chapter of My Hero Academia once again. We get a little bit more information about what's going on with Shigaraki and All For One, how they're going to deal with New Order, as well as getting more of the aftermath of what happened to Star and Stripe after her, you know, death by the hands of Shigaraki, both literally and very, very literally. So yeah, before we dive right into it, I'd like to ask you, if you haven't done so, to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I cover My Hero Academia content, spoilers, discussions, as well as reviews, so if that's something that you're interested in, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And without delay, let's get right into the review. So yeah, we start off the chapter with just a very lovely image of Star and Stripe, aka Kathleen, aka Cassie, and she just looks very beautiful in this image with a lot of like comic book-esque imagery with the dots. So it just looks very cool as we get the title of the chapter being Parting Gift, and we immediately go into the chapter proper with Shigaraki flying with wings. Wait, what? So yes, we start off the chapter with Shigaraki literally flying, because it is actually revealed in this chapter that he actually stole the wings of the flying Nomu and is now using those wings to escape, looking for a way to give New Order to someone so that he can eventually get it back. So just in case that anybody thought that, oh, he could just use the Nomu to do so, nope, that Nomu was confirmed dead in this chapter, and what we saw last chapter was literally Shigaraki using the Nomu's wings, which, you know, that's something that we've actually seen that All For One can do. We can actually take physical, like, quirks that have changed the person's body, like we saw in the flashback of that dude whose, like, mouth was just, like, raggedy, and All For One was able to take it away and he looked normal. Yeah, this makes sense. All For One is able to do that. But while we see All For One flying away, you just have All For One just thinking about how he needs to get New Order to someone else before he disappears, and how he's like thinking, it's you again, thinking about All Might, and how he can never escape All Might. And this is very interesting because even though All For One says that he doesn't care about All Might anymore, that he's lower than trash to him now, he keeps on getting obstacles against him that are connected to All Might, as he's like, he can never get away from them. And this kind of ties into the idea about how All For One will lead to his own downfall, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to a specific part of this chapter. But yes, All For One, Shigaraki, is able to rocket away from the pilots, as you have the pilots thinking about how what Star and Stripes said, and how she's gonna bring their bodies to their families, as you have one pilot, and we get the confirmation of who this pilot is at the end of this chapter, the head of this pilot fleet. We have him just thinking how Star had already surpassed All Might long ago and became the greatest hero. And this idea of the greatest hero gets brought up once again, tying into the idea of what makes you the greatest hero. Is it that you're stronger than the person previously? Is it because that you're the best hero? I think this kind of confirms that what the greatest hero is the hero that has the greatest influence over the people, is able to change the people's minds to the best of their ability, meaning that if you're able to like change the hearts and minds of people, then you are the greatest hero. Meaning that what we saw with Deku being the greatest hero, he was the greatest hero. Star and Stripe right now is also the greatest hero, and how the greatest hero isn't restricted to one person, and that it can be multiple people or even an entire society as a whole. So yeah, it's cool to get a little bit more about the greatest hero and just thinking about what that could actually mean concretely when we get closer to the end of the story, as we're kind of getting hints to what it truly is, if not it's straightly told to us right now. So yes, going from the pilot's inner dialogue and thinking and remembering Star and Stripe and kind of mourning for her at that moment, we cut over to just this random guy named Kashiko? KK, I guess is what we're going to be calling him. So yeah, we just cut to this random guy. Yeah, for no apparent reason. This guy isn't going to be playing a role in the story moving forward, not whatsoever. Actually, no, he is going to be playing a role in the story. We are going to be focusing on Keishi Kashiko. What is he doing right now? Well, he's just being a loiter. He's just loitering around, being a hermit. He broke into someone's house most likely with his girl, and they're like just planning on staying here being hermits. The power is still on, the water is running, they can't watch TV, but they're like, it's fine. We're gonna just live our lives here in the boonies. So yes, we are going to be following Kashiki Kashiko. The entire story is going to be My Hero Academia, Kashiki Kashiko's origin. That should have been the name of this chapter. And we immediately see Shigaraki breaking into the building and trying to steal Kashiki's quirk. Yeah, he's just going to be used as a vessel to hold New Order. So you just have Shigaraki, all for one, just thinking to himself that, alright, she probably added a rule that's like, New Order will revolt against other quirks and how this quirk cannot coexist with other quirks. So what I'll do is I'll steal this scrub's quirk, make him quirkless, and then give him New Order so that I'll have it as a vessel. Perfect plan as always! And as Shigaraki, all for one, is about to enact his plan, we just get Star and Stripe, aka Cassie, aka Kathleen, coming in and just telling Shigaraki that, oh, you're so stupid. My quirk was revolting against your other quirks. Did you not think that that wouldn't take a toll on it? Yeah. After trying to destroy all of your quirks, yeah, New Order is about to disappear. So, yeah, goodbye. So, we get the confirmation that New Order, because it was trying to destroy All for One, but it had to go through so many quirks to do so, because All for One had so many quirks inside of itself, that New Order was unable to destroy all of them. And because, if we remember correctly, that quirks are like muscles, and if we view it in that vein, that what New Order was doing is like overextending itself, stretching its muscles too thin until it completely breaks apart to the point where it can't come back together. So yeah, New Order burned itself out. So now, because of what All for One did, he doesn't have a lot of his quirks, which we're going to get the importance of this a little bit later in the story, but he doesn't have all of his quirks, he doesn't have New Order, and his body is completely maimed. This means that Star and Stripe has done a fair amount of damage to him, but it doesn't end there. As we have the final moments of Star and Stripe, as we get this just wonderful page of just pure, unadulterated horror, where we get like the body remnants of Star and Stripe as it's beginning to break apart and disappear, as we only get to see the skeleton, as we hear her say, as long as people are still willing to help each other, the will of a hero shall be passed on, and they will surely put it into you. As New Order, Cassie disappears. So, unfortunately, Cassie is no longer going to be in the story, which is just sad. But it's even more sad when you have All for One's response to it about how it doesn't matter, that as long as he lives, it's a victory. Now go away, you corpse. Like I said, this kind of ties into how All for One is going to be his own downfall. He doesn't realize that what he is doing is going to inevitably lead to his own demise, because he's so stuck on the idea that the villains have to win. The villains have to win, and not considering why heroes always win over the villains. It's because unlike villains that could eventually like give up on their dreams or never really achieve them, heroes as a concept will never die. That's why he keeps thinking and seeing the remnants of All Might everywhere he goes, because the idea of a hero never dies. And because he doesn't take that seriously, it's eventually going to lead to his downfall, as we see even on this page where we have just someone calling out a hero, as we see a small Tinku Shimura covered by hands as he calls out for Izuku Midoriya. So yeah, to the people who think that Izuku Midoriya isn't going to talk Tinko Shimura out of All for One to save him, just put a pin in that for, I don't know, ever, because yeah, that's where the story is going to go. Deku is going to save Tinko Shimura. Now, what's going to happen after he saves him? I don't know. It's your guess as much as mine, but yeah, he's going to save him, and this is just building more on the idea that All for One is going to lead to his own downfall, and that Deku is going to save Tinko Shimura. So we're seeing a little bit more of that setup coming into fruition. So yeah, after that, we're getting more towards the end of the chapter where we just get this long diatribe about how everything that has happened with Star and Stripe. The pilots confirmed that they tried to search for Shigaraki, but they weren't able to. They confirmed that Star and Stripe is dead, and that news spreads across the world, which actually leads to the countries becoming less willing to give heroes to Japan, and now they aren't even sending anyone there to help Japan, as we cut over to Salam, who's yelling at the person in charge like, what are you talking about? We're not sending help to Japan. We can't just abandon a nation in need. As we also have how the nations, when it comes to heroes, that heroism is directly tied to the social instability or stability of a country. The less heroes that you have, the more unstable your country becomes. And as we saw in Japan, that is the case, because the more heroes that they lost, the more unstable their country became. And due to that, and due to the fact that All for One still has all of his friends causing havoc in the other country, they literally can't send more heroes to Japan, or those countries will be worse off. So this kind of like shows like the fear that All for One has put around the world, to the point where the countries are unwilling to help themselves, which is very unheroic, which shows that yeah, hero society is a lot more flawed than we thought, specifically when it comes to the governments. But I think that this is actually going to build to something. Because here's the thing. What is stopping some of the top heroes from saying, fuck it, I'm going to Japan? Star and Stripe did it. She's not the only brash, unrational person there. There are a lot of heroes. A lot of heroes are brash and unreasonable. So yeah, I think what this is building up is that unfortunately they're not going to have anyone be sent to Japan to help, because most likely they weren't just going to send heroes, they were also going to send the military, as we saw Star and Stripe coming with those fighter jets. But I think most likely what's going to happen is that you're just going to have heroes that are just going to leave their country, go to Japan without any restrictions, or like without any like say so, because that's what heroes do. They help where they are needed, and Japan is the country that needs heroes the most. So I think that's what this is setting up, that we're not going to get a whole bunch of heroes, but we're probably going to get some of like the top or the best heroes from like some of the most powerful countries, like probably the top hero from China, the top hero from somewhere in Europe, the top hero from somewhere in Africa, South America, Australia. Probably not the US because they're dead. But yeah, most likely they're all going to come. They're going to go to Japan. So we won't have this big, huge army of like heroes from all around the world, but we'll have some of the top, strongest heroes help to stop Shigaraki and All for One. So I think that's what this is setting up. Setting up the idea that nothing is going to stop a hero from wanting to save people if they truly are a hero. And now we're approaching more of the end of the chapter, where we get the reveal of most likely who the lead captain is. He's this fairly older African-American male. We actually saw him in the flashback, so most likely he's the pilot that we've been following the entire time, so representation. But he is the one who confirms to All Might that, yeah, Star and Stripe, she did die, but she didn't die in vain, as we actually get confirmation that All Might actually knew Cassie and wanted to see her again, which is very cool, because it may imply that he met her as a hero, but it's most likely implying that he met her as that young child. So it's very cool to see that. But we actually get some information revealed about what the jets are able to do, and it is confirmed and revealed that the jets are able to record the battle data, and that they also have devices on the planes that were able to measure his biological processes of All for One, and that they were able to analyze his quirk. And this data will provide to be invaluable. And this is very interesting, because I've seen a little bit of discourse online about how people's like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. How could they have this technology? This seems so convenient, so contrived. And I will just say this. They live in a world where quirks have a very, very deep connection to the governmental powers, where they have AI robots that they can build on a whim. They have the ability to put someone's DNA into clothing so that they can use their quirk with it, and they have the capacity of being able to monitor quirks from a distance and can tell if a quirk is being used within inside the prison. So the ability to monitor biological processes and analyze and identify quirks does not seem that far-fetched. Heck, we literally saw it in the first movie through David's shield. Quirk factors are the equivalent of having a DNA strand. If we can analyze the DNA in our world, they can definitely do it in a world that is 120 years more advanced than us. So yeah, it does make sense that they have this type of technology because they have the ability to identify quirks through DNA. So yes, as All Might was able to gain this information from the pilots, we also have a potential hint to what's going on at Central Hospital, as we have the pilot also saying that, oh yeah, you haven't had a chance to study the body of that freak yet, haven't you? As we may not know who that freak is, but most likely it's probably going to be Shirakumo, or maybe the doctor. I don't know, but it's possibly hinting at Shirakumo, so most likely he's going to play a role later on. Shirakumo is Kurogiri, so hopefully he'll play a role in the story moving forward. As we cut to 2 days after Midoriya returned to UA, which would be the next day after the events that happened with Star and Stripe and Shigaraki, as All Might confirms to the students that, yeah, Shigaraki is not going to be completed tomorrow. He was, but he's not. We have at the very least a week, so we have some information from Star and Stripe, so within the next week or so, you better be prepared, because that's when we will defeat All For One and Shigaraki, as we cut to the final page of this chapter, where we see Deku, Bakugo, and Shota with serious expressions on their face as the chapter ends. So, like I said, all of the setup that the past few chapters have been giving us is about to come to an end. Most likely we're going to get a few more chapters of setup, setting up the strategies. We may see the students train with their quirks to get a little bit stronger, maybe possibly. We may even get revealed of the last quirk of Deku's, which he may say, okay, here's my quirk, my quirk, my quirk, my quirk. The final quirk that I have is this. It's not really that powerful, so I may want to test it a little bit more before the battle. So we may see him doing a little bit more testing with his quirks. Not necessarily that he needs to like train the quirks themselves, but he just needs to train like how to use them in succession, how to use multiple quirks at once. Because the thing is, it's not that he needs to use the quirks or need to use how to use the quirks and train with the actual quirks. He just needs to use the quirks in very effective ways, and that just requires him to be able to process them at once at the same time, because the boost that he would get through training is done through the quirk of One For All. So most likely we're going to get some training with that, as well as training from the characters from the other class students. Heck, we may see them talking about their experiences after the war. Maybe it's not really necessary, but we could get that. But I think most likely what we're going to do is get a little bit more strategy. We're most likely going to get the reveal of what the quirks are, what quirks were destroyed, what quirks stayed the same. My prediction is that the regen quirk will still be there. It may be weakened, but I do not see the regen quirk as like the be all of, if Shigaraki has this quirk, he cannot be beat, because no moves have had that quirk and they've been beat. The only difference is that Shigaraki's skin is like a lot harder. And most likely, my prediction is that we're probably going to realize that Ragdoll's search quirk has been destroyed, which means that Shigaraki will not be able to track Deku through the quirk, which means it's going to be harder for him to locate him and actually take One For All. But it's also going to be a little bit sad, because it means that there's going to be no way for Ragdoll to be a hero, which is going to affect the students in a somewhat believable way, hopefully. So yeah, we got to see All For One fail horribly in trying to keep New Order, and it really just bit him in the butt. We had Cassie foreshadowing All For One's doom, because obviously he's going to be his own self-downfall, as well as a little bit more foreshadowing to Deku being able to save Tinko Shimura by being a hero. A little bit more confirmation of how most likely we're not going to get a whole lot more foreign heroes into the story, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be gone forever. Most likely one from every country, as well as we get a little bit more confirmation that they are going to get a list of All For One's quirks, and potentially seeing how they're going to come up with a plan along with the students of Class 1A to come up with a strategy to finally defeat All For One and Shigaraki. So yeah, that's all that really happened in this chapter. Really did enjoy it. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well, and hopefully you enjoyed this review. And if you did, why not leave a like on this video to show that you really like to see this content, as well as don't forget to leave a comment down below on what do you think of this chapter. And let me just ask you, do you think that All For One lost Ragdoll search quirk? Leave your thoughts down in the comments down below, as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be notified for whenever I upload more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!